the good old summertime, in the good old summertime.
So obviously we have the birth of the Ashes 1882, which is 5 years after the first Test match. So yeah, people think, oh, that's when it all begins, when it kicks off, and it is actually not, because you have a terrible era of Ashes cricket. So the first 8 series when the Ashes are contested, I'll come back to that bit later. But yeah, they're all won by England, so from 1882 to 1890, and there's just these non-stop. It is kind of a non-stop mega Ashes, and it's England are really, really dominant, and the people are pretty worried about, is this series just losing competitiveness altogether? And of course, I talked about the Ashes. Well, people aren't really thinking about the Ashes at all at this point. So the Ashes, which were invented in 1882, they kind of go dormant for 10, 12 years later. And really, the series that changes everything actually is 1894-5. So this is this absolutely epic Ashes series. England win 3-2 in Australia. So it continues England's dominance, but actually is a proper contest for the first time. And that first time in a long period. I suppose Australia do win in 1891 too, but it really elevates the series, and it's a 5-match series as well, because lots of these before they were 2 or 3-match series, and it was a bit of a mess. And this is still an era when you do have these other private tours which aren't Test matches and stuff. But you look at with W.G. Grace, he only plays 2 of the first 13 Test matches, so often he's just not paid enough to want to go. And he wouldn't have known what was a Test match. There's only,
Yes.
in Australian Joes in the 1890s, he retrospectively classed his matches as Test matches.
Yes.
Actually, one of the amazing things I found in the book is until 1948, people are still arguing about retrospectively which matches are Test matches. So the 1946 Australia-New Zealand Test, when Australia absolutely obliterate New Zealand, or people are still arguing for a few years later whether that should count as a Test. So yeah, it's not a great era of Test cricket. This is an era where fixture congestion, if you like, England are just playing Australia the whole time. South Africa are very, very weak. England are sending probably a sort of, to be honest, probably like a D for South Africa in this era, because they basically don't want to win by too much. And if they send their very best team, it would be ridiculous. Australia barely playing, Australia don't really play South Africa in this until the golden age. So Test cricket is really not in a great place at all, and people are worried about it. And the County Championship actually is doing pretty well in this era. So there's a sense that is that becoming more important. So the pre-golden age Test cricket is pretty precarious, and there's possibly a world where actually Test cricket sort of dies. That's not probably impossible at this point, because it's not the juggernaut that it becomes actually very quickly afterwards.